You can eat clean, move daily, meditate, and detox. You can quit sugar, alcohol, processed foods, and perform wellness perfectly. And you can still be sick, because everything is connected. For the petrified, parentified, perfectionist souls, now in midlife with leaky bodies and broken hearts. For the ones who did everything right and still collapsed. For the ones who are finally ready to heal addiction-free through soul love, not substances. Born into stress, raised to perform. Many of us were born into wombs shaped by trauma, antibiotics, mycotoxins, and emotional shutdown. We were raised in homes with grief in the air and mold behind the walls. We learned to clean obsessively, people-please compulsively, and collapse quietly. We became perfectionists just to be seen by a parent who couldn't see themselves. Now, in midlife, our bodies carry the weight. C-PTSD, anxiety, depression and freeze-response chronic fatigue, fibromyalgia, migraines and brain fog, hormonal chaos, early menopause, PMDD and infertility, gut disorders, skin flares and autoimmune storms, mold illness, histamine intolerance and environmental sensitivities. These are not random. They are patterned. They are poetic. They are the body's way of saying, I've been holding too much for too long. The sacred pause in soul reclamation midlife is not menopause. It's a sacred pause. It's the moment we stop performing wellness and start reclaiming soul care. We pause. We play. We let go of perfection and procrastination. We listen to our bodies. We detox our homes, our habits, and our histories. We begin to age backwards because we begin to love ourselves forward. We feed our inner child the way we would feed a thriving toddler, with gentle words, nourishing food, and rhythms that feel safe. We release comfort foods, fun foods, processed sugar and drinks. We choose lifestyle medicine rooted in soul love, not addiction. We turn the clocks back an hour here in Canada's capital on November 2nd, and when we detox our spaces and our being, we too rewind time toward happy stools, stable moods, and deep sleep. We begin to heal our life-threatening illnesses with soul-rooted rituals. We begin to live again. I'm turning 59 in a few weeks. My soul age is 41, and I'm finally learning to rest. Soul care tip for boundaries. When you begin to heal, your body will whisper what it never had permission to say. Listen. Start with one gentle boundary. I no longer perform wellness to be loved. I choose soul care because I am. Let this be your mantra when old patterns resurface, when you feel the urge to overgive, overclean, or over-explain. Instead of collapsing quietly, pause. Instead of people-pleasing, protect your peace. Instead of perfectionism, play. Boundaries are not walls. They are soul-sized doorways to safety, and your inner child deserves a home where she is no longer afraid.
You did everything right, the clean eating, the meditation, the exercise routines. And yet here you are, sick, exhausted, and wondering what went wrong. Today, we're diving into the complex relationship between wellness culture, mold illness, and trauma, and why doing everything right doesn't guarantee perfect health.
And it's such a crucial conversation because this perfectionist approach to wellness can actually make us more vulnerable when health challenges do arise.
Let's start with something that might surprise people: mold illness. It doesn't discriminate between the wellness warriors and the couch potatoes, does it?
Not at all. According to Health Canada, mold can grow in any indoor environment where there's moisture, regardless of how clean or healthy the lifestyle of the occupants is.
And the health effects can be pretty serious, right?
Absolutely. Health Canada has found that people exposed to indoor mold are more likely to experience eye, nose, and throat irritation, coughing, wheezing, and even the development of asthma and other respiratory infections.
You know what's fascinating? The wellness industry, which was valued at $3.7 trillion in 2015, sells us this idea that we can control everything about our health.
And that's exactly where the problem lies. This idea of complete control is not just unrealistic, it can be harmful.
How so?
Well, research shows that when people who fully bought into wellness culture face health challenges, they often experience additional trauma from the perceived failure of their lifestyle choices.
That's really interesting because it creates this double burden, the illness itself and the psychological impact of feeling like you failed somehow.
Exactly. And according to recent psychological research, This kind of stress and trauma can actually make physical health problems worse.
Can you explain that connection between trauma and physical health?
Research shows that people who have experienced psychological trauma have higher rates of serious illnesses, including cardiovascular disease, gastrointestinal disorders, and neuroendocrine problems.
So it becomes this vicious cycle. The stress of trying to be perfectly healthy could actually make us more vulnerable to illness?
Exactly. Studies have shown that chronic stress reduces your body's ability to fight off illnesses. It's the number one reason people start getting sick more than usual.
And I imagine this is where the whole wellness culture thing can become problematic.
Right. As Dr. Fernandez from Harvard points out, we're often looking for that one pill solution, that one thing we can do to solve all our health problems. But health doesn't work that way.
Let's talk about what happens when someone who's done everything right suddenly faces a mold-related illness.
Well, according to Health Canada, mold can begin growing within 48 hours in any damp environment, regardless of how clean or well-maintained it is.
That's pretty quick.
And what's particularly challenging is that some people are more susceptible than others. Infants, children, seniors, pregnant people, and those with respiratory conditions are at greater risk.
So even if two people are exposed to the same environment, they might have very different responses?
Exactly. And this is where wellness culture's one-size-fits-all approach really falls apart.
You know what's interesting? The way wellness culture has become almost like a new religion.
Yes, and as Harvard Health points out, many wellness myths contain just enough truth to make them believable, which makes them particularly dangerous.
Like what?
Take the myth that being thin equals being healthy. While weight can impact health, Harvard Medical emphasizes that there isn't just one healthy body type.
And what about all these detoxes and cleanses that wellness culture promotes?
According to the National Center for Complementary and Integrative Health, these tactics won't help and may actually cause harm.
It's almost like we're creating new problems while trying to solve others.
Exactly. And when you add trauma to the mix, it becomes even more complicated.
Can you explain that connection?
Recent research shows that trauma literally inscribes itself into the body. It affects how we understand the world, relate to others, and even how our immune system functions.
That's fascinating. So trauma isn't just in our heads?
Not at all. Studies show that chronic, unresolved emotional pain often becomes somatized, meaning it expresses itself through physical symptoms like insomnia, fatigue, migraines, and digestive disorders.
And I imagine when wellness culture tells us we should be able to control all of this,
it can create even more trauma, yes. Because now we're not just dealing with the physical symptoms, but also the shame and guilt of feeling like we've failed.
let's talk about the gut-brain connection, because that seems really relevant here.
Research shows that where there's mental distress, there's often digestive dysfunction. The gut-brain axis is incredibly sensitive to stress and trauma.
And stress makes us more vulnerable to illness in general, right?
Absolutely. Cleveland Clinic research shows that prolonged stress is the #1 reason people start getting sick more than usual.
So the pressure to maintain perfect health could actually be making us sick?
Exactly. Studies show that chronic stress reduces immune cell frequency, leaving us more vulnerable to infections and illnesses like mold-related problems.
What about sleep? I know wellness culture has a lot to say about that.
Research shows that adults sleeping 6 hours or less are at a higher risk of viral infections and may not gain as much immunity from vaccines as those who sleep 7 hours or more.
But the pressure to get perfect sleep could actually keep us awake, right?
Exactly. This is another example of how wellness culture's perfectionism can backfire.
So what's the alternative? How do we approach health in a more balanced way?
True wellness, according to recent research, is about supporting the body and mind as they are, not trying to alter them to fit some ideal.
That sounds a lot more sustainable.
And it's backed by science. Studies show that accepting our bodies and focusing on how we feel rather than how we look leads to better health outcomes.
What about when health challenges do arise, like mold exposure?
The key is responding without shame or self-blame. Health Canada emphasizes that mold can grow anywhere there's moisture, regardless of how clean someone keeps their home.
So it's about being proactive without being perfectionist?
Exactly. And understanding that health exists on a spectrum. It's not an all-or-nothing state.
That's really important for people to hear, especially those dealing with chronic conditions.
Yes, because research shows that chronic conditions like mold illness often require a holistic approach that addresses both physical and psychological aspects.
And that might mean accepting that we can't control everything?
Precisely. The research is clear that this acceptance actually leads to better health outcomes than striving for perfect control.
Let's wrap this up. What's the main takeaway for our listeners?
The key message from all this research is that true wellness isn't about perfection. It's about balance, resilience, and self-compassion.
And sometimes getting sick isn't a failure, it's just part of being human.
Exactly. The science shows us that health is complex and multifaceted. There's no one-size-fits-all solution.
So maybe the real wellness revolution isn't about achieving perfection,
It's about developing a more compassionate, evidence-based approach to health that acknowledges both our resilience and our vulnerability.
Remember, sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is let go of being perfectly healthy.
And that paradox might just be the key to true wellness.